The Galactic Senate echoed with laughter, an ugly, layered sound, not unlike a chorus of hyenas with expensive titles. Somewhere between mocking and disbelief, it rolled across the polished obsidian walls of the chamber. 12 species sat in a half-moon arc, their expressions ranging from smug to outright hysterical. In the center, Earth's representative stood alone. Ambassador Marcus Wren didn't flinch. His slate-gray suit was perfectly pressed, his hands clasped gently in front of him. His eyes, calm, almost amused, moved slowly from one delegate to the next. He allowed the laughter to play out like bad theater. When the last chuckle died under its own weight, he spoke. "I understand our proposal was unexpected." "Unexpected?" snorted Chancellor Velrix of the Gravok Dominion, his thick reptilian neck trembling with the effort of restrained mockery. "You mammals show your teeth and call it peace. It's adorable, really." There was more chuckling. Marcus tilted his head. "We assumed peace might be mutually beneficial. Economically, diplomatically, existentially." Eliari Speaker Virex, all willowy limbs and translucent skin, raised an elegant hand. "Earth has spent less than a century in interstellar society and believes it can lecture the founding 12 about peace? You're like a hatchling offering parenting tips." There were nods of approval from the Sarnathi bloc. Even the Threxian bureaucrats, who typically expressed emotion with minor wing twitches, buzzed faintly with amusement. Wren smiled politely. "To be fair, hatchlings can still bite." A pause. Subtle, but it registered. Virex's compound eyes narrowed. "I suppose you have no military leverage to follow through on such a statement," muttered General Dromic, armored in rust-colored plates that clanked with his breath. "Your fleet numbers are public." "Pathetic." Wren's voice remained soft. "We prefer subtlety to spectacle." The Gravok Chancellor barked a harsh laugh. "Then perhaps Earth would prefer to crawl back to its mud ball and grow subtle for a few more centuries." Marcus simply nodded. "Understood. We'll trouble you no further." He tapped a small device on his wrist. "Ambassador Wren to Terran Command. Diplomatic initiative has failed. Begin fallback protocol Delta. ETA 3 days." Most in the chamber didn't notice. A few Threxians exchanged looks. Virex's eyes twitched again. Marcus gave a slight bow. "Thank you for your time. And your laughter." With that, the humans left. Back aboard the diplomatic cruiser Foresight, Commander Elara Quinn leaned on a console, watching him as the chamber's feed went dark. "They laughed harder this time," she noted, biting into a protein bar. "Laughter is honesty's final defense," Marcus replied, removing his tie with the precision of a man shedding armor. "They don't believe we're dangerous." "That's good." Elara squinted. "You enjoy this way too much." "I enjoy outcomes. Especially the ironic ones." Behind them, the NAV screen pulsed. 12 Terran fleets, once thought to be in reserve, were now in silent motion. Cloaked, minimal emissions, following patterns optimized by Daisy, the defense AI whose polite tone belied her devastating efficiency. Marcus poured himself tea. Elara watched the mug fill. "So, what now?" "Now," he said, "we show them what we meant by peace." On Gravok Station Delta, a supply officer named Creel was arguing with a maintenance bot when every screen in the logistics hall flickered. For 2.7 seconds the display went dark. When it returned, the station's entire inventory database had been replaced with a single Earth sigil, a globe wrapped in olive branches. Creel blinked. "What is that?" No one answered. Because seconds later, the comms array shorted, lights dimmed, and gravity reversed itself for half a heartbeat. Then silence. Elsewhere, on the Eliari diplomatic vessel Whisper Shade, Speaker Virex sipped his nutrient infusion and frowned. A dull ache pulsed behind his ocular ridge. He couldn't stop thinking about that human, Wren. There was a void in him. Not emotional absence, but something else. As if the man had buried his thoughts beneath layers of sand and stone. "Play back the human ambassador's speech," he said. An assistant obeyed. As the recording replayed, Virex listened carefully, no longer to the words, but the cadence. Twice, Ren paused in the exact rhythm used by Iliari code singers to mask tactical signals. Virex's cup slipped from his fingers. They weren't asking for peace, he whispered. They were delivering a warning, encoded in etiquette. In the Sarnathi High Chamber, alarms had begun to sound. Their fleets had gone silent. Not destroyed, just absent. Like files deleted from a computer that never showed the recycle bin. The Prime Wavekeeper blinked at her advisors. We didn't even insult them. You didn't laugh, her aide whispered. Back on Earth, under the restored ceiling of the United Nations War Council, now remodeled with reinforced alas and cloaked shielding, General Ava Ryan stared at a holographic board filled with markers. We ready? She asked. Ren's voice came through calm as fog. The vote was unanimous. They laughed. So we start. Daisy's voice chimed in, light and cheerful. I have already begun. 3 days after the Council dismissed Earth's offer, the First World went dark. It wasn't bombarded. It wasn't invaded. Its sun was stolen. Literally, folded through a micro-wormhole array and relocated. The planet froze in hours. No damage. No war crimes. Just silence. Across the galaxy, systems began disappearing from communication grids, not destroyed. Just unreachable. Alien governments sent scouts. None returned. Ambassadors requested an audience with Earth. Earth declined. The Terran fleet never fired the first shot. They didn't need to. They'd asked nicely. The Iliari were the first to admit something was wrong. Not publicly, of course. Iliari pride didn't allow for public alarm. But privately, in silent corridors lined with glowing crystal and filtered air, they whispered. Not out of fear, at least not yet, but confusion. And confusion, for a race built on precision and prediction, was the first sign of collapse. Speaker Virex stared at the simulation again. A week-old event replayed on loop, the human ambassador's speech, slowed to 20% speed, overlaid with Iliari's psychotemporal pattern scans. Every eighth word matched frequency intervals used in cerebral cascade activation. His aide said, voice hushed. It's a linguistic rhythm designed to bypass conscious filters. Meaning? They weren't talking to us. Not consciously, anyway. Virex's hand twitched. And the fleet movements? He asked, though he already knew. The aide hesitated. 12 Earth fleets. No formal declaration. No demands. No targets. Just gone. Systems along the outer rings report anomalies, gravity glitches, phantom signals, AI malfunctions. A Gravok destroyer self-imploded after its own firewalls turned against it. No survivors. And yet no direct aggression. Virex muttered. Exactly. Not an invasion. Not a war. Just precision. He exhaled slowly, his translucent skin dulling. This wasn't retaliation. This was a diagnosis. On Gravok World Tormek, General Kroknoth crushed a steel goblet in his fist. Asterisk, you told me asterisk they were weak. He roared at his advisors, saliva sizzling where it landed on polished obsidian. A technician trembled. Our analysts underestimated their stealth systems. The Terran ships bypassed 8 sensor nets. The main orbital defense station didn't even register a ping. Because it wasn't there to register anything. Another officer said grimly. It's gone. Gone where? Disassembled. Atom by atom. Local gravity lenses recorded a brief ripple, a contained micro-collapse. Their tech folds matter like paper. The general blinked. But why didn't they fire? Silence. Then the answer quiet as a whisper. Because we're not the target. Our confidence is. Back on Earth, in the Terran Strategic Command Complex, a deep vault beneath the Andes Mountains, Admiral Chen reviewed the status reports. Any response from the Council? Marcus Wren, now free of his diplomat uniform and dressed in stark, functional black, sipped his tea. They're drafting a joint condemnation. Chen raised a brow. That all? Well, that and a request for a second meeting. He smiled faintly. I believe they're considering peace. Daisy's voice cut in, smooth and cheerful. 17 council systems are currently experiencing mild disruptions. Communications rerouted. Satellites nudged. No casualties. Just inconvenience and dread. Chen folded his arms. Remind me what this operation is called again. Ren didn't look up. Diplomatic clarity. The Admiral chuckled. Subtle. On Threxian world hives, tens of thousands of bureaucrats buzzed through hexagonal logic trees. Each node flagged the same anomaly. Earth's economic activity had increased after sanctions were imposed. Trade partners shifted. Supply chains rerouted. Somehow, humans were profiting from their own isolation. And that terrified the Threxians more than any fleet. Humans weren't reacting emotionally. No chaos, no panic. Just quiet, calculated advantage. The lead datacast prime analyzed the trajectory. Conclusion: humanity had prepared this scenario before their peace proposal. That meant this was never negotiation. The prime clicked. It was bait. Aboard the Terran dreadnought Silence Reigns, Commander Alara Quinn stood before the fleet hologram. She pointed at a red marker blinking at the edge of Eliari space. That outpost still hasn't responded? No, ma'am, her comms officer said. AI disruption protocols deployed, no contact re-established. She nodded. Have we taken any lives? None confirmed. Power networks offline. AI paralysis only. Life support left untouched. Quinn smiled. And yet they're terrified. Marcus Wren entered the command deck, hands clasped behind his back. Funny, he said. All these centuries of conflict in the galaxy, and they still don't understand deterrence. Quinn glanced at him. You ever wonder if this is too much? No, Wren replied. Because we warned them. The Sarnathi High Chamber finally sent a delegation to Earth, one not weighted by pride or protocol. They arrived without military escort, without posturing, and most importantly, without laughter. Wren met them in a simple meeting hall in New Santiago. Wood-paneled walls. Earth art. No weapons in sight. The lead Sarnathi, her skin glistening with moisture, bowed low. We wish to understand. Wren nodded politely. Good. Understanding is the root of peace. But why silence? Why systems turn dark without declaration? Because we didn't want war, Wren said. We offered peace sincerely. You didn't just reject it. You humiliated it. You taught others to dismiss it. The Sarnathi looked down. Wren leaned forward slightly. We're not conquerors. We're calculators. And you helped us solve a very old equation. The Sarnathi's voice was soft. What equation? How many species would laugh at peace, and how many would remember to be cautious? He slid a data crystal across the table. Those who mocked us are gone. But those who listened, like you, still have a future. The delegate stared. You set a trap. No, Wren replied. We held a mirror. 2 weeks passed. 12 founding species lost critical systems. No wars were declared. No battles fought. But when alien fleets gathered near Earth's borders, they found nothing. Not even stars. Earth had cloaked half a sector in absolute optical denial. No readings. No traces. A message blinked across the void. We are not hostile. But we are done asking nicely. It was signed with the Earth emblem, and Wren's name. The council met again, this time in emergency session. The laughter was gone. So were the jokes. A quiet desperation filled the chamber. Speaker Virex sat still, hands clenched. They asked for peace. And we laughed. Someone muttered. Virex closed his eyes. And now their silence is the loudest thing in the galaxy. The Gravok military was bred on two beliefs: strength is everything, and fear is weakness. For centuries they had roared, conquered, and watched weaker civilizations crumble under their boots. But now, staring at a blank star chart, one where 6 of their outer colonies had vanished without as much as a warning shot, General Crocknoth felt something he had never allowed himself to feel. Uncertainty. "What do you mean we lost Tormek?" he growled, claws digging into the steel table. A young tactician trembled. "No signs of orbital strikes. No seismic events. No population movement. One moment it was transmitting, the next gone." "Gone where?" "We don't know, sir. We've triple-checked the deep scans. There's no debris. No atmosphere. Just vacuum." Crocknoth bared his teeth. "You don't lose a planet like a set of keys. Unless someone took the lock and the door." Meanwhile, in orbit above what used to be Threxian High Delta 12, a lone human ship drifted in silence. The TNS Murmur, built for infiltration, hovered just outside the sensor range of every known galactic detection grid. Inside, Marcus Wren stood beside a viewscreen that displayed a single message on repeat. Asterisk. "Power down your weapons. Request a meeting. You may keep your home." Asterisk. Commander Alara Quinn entered, helmet under one arm. "Another hive gone quiet. Did we touch their minds?" Wren asked without turning. "Just enough. Daisy ran a bioresonant echo loop through their subspace bands. No pain. Just discomfort. Good. Fear is only useful when it teaches." She gave him a look. "And when it doesn't? Then it becomes a prelude." He turned. "How's our neutrality with the Sarnathi holding?" "They've paused all fleet movements and initiated trade talks. Even offered medical research exchanges." He raised an eyebrow. "So they listened." She smirked. "They didn't laugh." Across the galaxy, planets were darkening, not from destruction, but from surrender. The Gravok were now fighting shadows. Their heavy cruisers engaged ghost signals, firing at nothing. Weapon systems failed without impact. Crews turned on one another when hallucinogenic audio pulses triggered ancient neural pathways. The Iliari, once so confident in their mental superiority, had quarantined 2 of their own planets. Entire populations suffered mass psychogenic loops. They believed they were at peace, and in that illusion, they never even noticed their planetary cores being siphoned. The horror was not death. It was how clean it all was. No blood. No battles. Just quiet. Unseen hands undoing civilizations like untying a knot. At a remote Terran listening post above the gas giant Zeros, a junior officer watched a live stream of the Galactic Council's emergency session. There were no laughs this time. No arrogance. Just arguing. "This is genocide by erasure," one delegate screamed. "Asterisk no, asterisk," said the Sarnathi ambassador, voice shaking. "It's worse. It's an education." Back in the listening post's comms bay, the officer turned to his superior. "Are we really going to let them keep talking like we're monsters?" His CO, an older woman with gray at her temples, didn't look away from the screen. "We gave them peace. They spat on it. Now they're upset that we're not throwing bombs. This?" She gestured at the growing panic. "This is what it feels like when your gods turn out to be teachers." Marcus Wren stood before a council of his own now. Not of diplomats, but tacticians. The War Council, rarely convened, sat in the Earth Core Strategic Vault, 6 miles beneath New Antarctica. A large, hexagonal table displayed real-time data on Council system integrity. Over 30 planets now exhibited total compliance. Not one human missile had been fired. Admiral Ching gestured to the readout. "We've proven our point. They know we could end them. Now what?" "No," Wren said. "We changed the script." One of the younger generals leaned forward. "Peace?" "No," Wren said calmly. Understanding star. Peace is a truce. Understanding is stability. He tapped a control. A new display lit up, multiple alien factions offering silent overtures, technology, treaties, even shared governance proposals. Daisy's voice purred softly through the room. "Statistical model suggests 83% likelihood of a stable galactic reformation under human mediation within 6 months." Another general snorted. You mean empire? No, said Ren. That's what they build. We'll give them something worse. He leaned on the table, voice quiet. Consensus. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, once proud, now crumbling under doubt, the remaining delegates gathered. Of the original 12, only 6 were active. The rest were missing. The Eliari had gone silent. The Gravok were in collapse. The Threxians refused contact. Only the Sarnathi remained present, humble, shaken, and suddenly influential. The doors opened. Marcus Wren stepped into the chamber. Unarmed. Alone. Dressed not in military regalia, but in a dark gray suit and tie. He walked to the center without invitation and looked each surviving delegate in the eye. I'm here to offer you a new beginning. No one spoke. So he continued. You thought peace was weakness. That was your mistake. We thought fear was a teacher. That was ours. Virex of the Eliari was missing, but his seat remained. Ren looked at it, then back to the others. We don't want your thrones. We don't need your systems. But we will never ask twice again. The Sarnathi delegate broke the silence. What do you want? Ren folded his hands. A council. Rebuilt. With Earth as its mediator. A sharp inhale came from the Gravok representative, new, young, unscarred. You want to lead us? Ren's eyes turned to ice. We want to stop you from leading yourselves into extinction. There was no vote. Only nods. Slow. Reluctant. But real. That night, across thousands of worlds, a single message echoed from Earth's deep space relays. They laughed when we asked for peace. Now they listen when we say nothing.